Ugh, so full.
That's how you start the show.
I ate so much. Oh, is that not how a lot of people are feeling today? Right?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. You want to vomit on a microphone, though.
It was more of a deep exhale than anything. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Fantasy Football Today, presented by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Friday, November 28th. Happy Friday. Happy post-Thanksgiving. Get out there and vote. Vote. The 64.com. Vote for us. We need to win. Let's do it. Jamie, good Thanksgiving?
It was great Thanksgiving. How about you?
Yeah, it was really nice. It was delicious. Best thing you ate?
Oh, boy. Best thing I ate was, you're not going to like it, but my wife's pumpkin pie.
Okay. Brown butter cookies for me. No, the turkey, it was just going to go with the chalk. The turkey was great. I'm not really a turkey guy.
He was great, yeah.
What's that?
No, turkey was great too, yeah.
Oh, good. What's a worse feeling? I think this is a stupid question, but I ask a lot of them, so let's just start it right here. What's a worse feeling? Starting a player who has a bad game or sitting a player who has a huge game?
Sitting a player has a huge game.
Oh, okay. I was going to think that you were going to say, obviously, it's starting a player who's bad. Oh, God, J-Mo.
Because, I mean, we start great. Like Lamar Jackson, which I know we'll talk about, should have had a great game.
Yeah.
And you're not benching Lamar Jackson for the most part.
What's his points if he gets those 2 touchdowns? Probably in about 20. He wouldn't have even had a great game.
No, he would have had a good game.
Good game.
And the 50-yard drop.
And the 50. Okay, yeah. You start talking, they were probably talking close to 24-ish.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Like, it was such a weird game for him. And listen, he did not play well, obviously. But loses the fumble with Isaiah Likely, the questionable offensive pass interference call, which clearly hurt 2 players there. And I think in the case of, to answer your question, like, I know I was an idiot for saying to sit Jordan Love in hindsight. Like that I'm watching that unfold, and like I have him in a couple leagues, and just why didn't I start him?
Yeah. No, that was a real surprise. All right, so we'll get into the games. Got some injuries from Thursday, and then we're gonna preview 6 games today. And they are.
I think it just one of the questions just popped up in the chat. I think the toughest dilemma, and we'll know obviously the answer by Saturday, certainly by the end of the day, is the Cardinals wide receivers.
Oh, yeah. Big time. I think I'm still going to roll with Michael Wilson in my 3 receiver league, even if Marvin Harrison Jr. plays.
I don't disagree with that, but I think there's going to be some tough calls.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's not like I'm starting over Ricky Pearsall and Darius.
Yeah.
You know. So 6 games today: Arizona at Tampa Bay, Denver at Washington, Minnesota at Seattle, Rams at Panthers. I have a lot to say about that game. New Orleans at Miami, Atlanta at the Jets. All right. Best thing you ate, we covered. Worst feeling, we covered, but I'm going to do a Twitter poll. Starting someone who stinks or sitting someone who's great. So let's get to the other stuff, the stuff from Thursday. Injuries and snap counts. Amon-Ra St. Brown hurt his ankle. Dan Campbell was saying it's not going to be long term, maybe 1 to 2 weeks if we're lucky, but he's going to miss some time, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So what happened when he left? Well, Tom Kennedy had a better game. Well, Tesla caught a touch. Tom Kennedy played 65% of the snaps. Isaac Tesla played 92% of the snaps. Kansas City had some rough news yesterday, not only losing, but left tackle Josh Simmons dislocated and broke his wrist, and right tackle Jawan Taylor hurt his elbow. Safety Brian Cook left with an ankle injury. I mean, without 2 tackles and playing Houston next week, I don't know if we're going to trust Patrick Mahomes. Baltimore cornerback Nate Wiggins left with a foot injury. Dallas lost 2 defensive backs, Malik Hooker and Deron Bland, to injuries. They're at Detroit next week. So that's a Thursday game next week, Dallas and Detroit, right?
I can check.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're playing on Thursday. Green Bay, this is a big one here. Defensive tackle Devontae Wyatt looks like he's going to be out for the foreseeable future, if not the season, with an ankle injury. So Quay Walker missed yesterday's game. Now Devontae Wyatt has a broken ankle. I shouldn't say broken, an ankle injury. Some snap share stuff. Chase Brown played only 60% of the snaps. This is a new reality now with Samaje Perine back. It's a split. Luckily, we had a big role in the passing game for Chase Brown. Dontavian Wicks, he had a big game. He only played 49% of the snaps. They might get Jaden Reed back next week. Isaiah Pacheco, 30%. Kareem Hunt, 64% of the snaps. You have our answer?
Thursday, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna go game by game here, but since we obviously have a lot of start sit to get to, we'll just do one takeaway for each team. Green Bay 31, Detroit 24. What's your Packers takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, Detroit's a mess. The Packers takeaway is that Jordan Love, when he is given the opportunities to throw and be aggressive, can be a good fantasy quarterback, and we need to see more of this.
Yeah, Chicago next, then at Denver, then at Chicago. So I don't know that we're going to start him, but yeah, he's had a good year. I think he reminded us how good he can be. I think I'm getting a little more confident in Christian Watson. You probably are as well. He's 39% started, 76% rostered. How about on the Detroit side?
I mean, obviously, Jameson Williams becomes a potential superstar now because of St. Brown's absence. So, he burned us once, and I think a lot of people are hesitant to go back to him this week, understandably so. But without St. Brown there, like, this is the guy for the Lions. You're going to pick up Isaac Tesla, but like, they're decimated. Laporta done, St. Brown at least the minimum week 13. You hope to get him back for the fantasy playoffs, but at this point, like, this is Jared Goff's guy.
Yeah, it's huge. JMO was started in 67% of leagues, 7 catches, 144 yards, and a touchdown. And I just think Jahmyr Gibbs' game log last 7 games, 7.5 points, 36.8, 5.8, 38.2, 19.6, 55.4. And then yesterday was, I don't even know, 11-ish?
11 something.
Yeah. Okay. Detroit.
I think just in the case of David Montgomery, you got the touchdown, so you win.
And that's kind of how I feel about Javonte Williams. Dallas 31, Kansas City 28. How about this? For the first time since Patrick Mahomes became the starter, the Chiefs lost a game in which Mahomes threw for 4 or more touchdowns and no interceptions. That's per ESPN. Takeaways. Let's start with the Cowboys. My takeaway, Jamie, is that I'm still not. I started Javonte. I have a lot of Javonte. He was started in 88% of leagues. I still don't feel great about it, but we did get a little lucky with the touchdown catch.
Yeah, and a crazy play too by Dak, how he got him the touchdown. But I think just this is one of these guys, and next week's not going to be easy either against Detroit. This is one of these guys that he gets so many opportunities. So you're talking about 15 plus touches weekly, sometimes 20 plus touches, that you can't really say outright sit, because there's the potential of something positive happening. And yes, the passing down work has been somewhat miserable on how he runs his routes and things that go his way in terms of what he does after the catch. But this is one of these teams. Like, there's such a great offense, and he's still the starting running back. I picked up Malik Davis in a couple leagues this weekend, or this week, excuse me. I forget what date it is. I went to bed last night. I checked my fantasy basketball league, and I was like, oh, I can't believe I lost. I thought it was Sunday. It just felt like Sunday. And this is one of these teams you just want to be attached to. So I feel like, not to go on a tangent, but like last year at this point, it was kind of when I was like, I really want to see the Bengals make the playoffs. I want to see the Cowboys make the playoffs. Like, they're just fun to watch.
Yeah, they are.
And I think just in the case of Javonte Williams, he's just a number 2 running back that you just have to start and take your chances with.
Dave giving me some snap counts here. Just Javonte played 78% of the snaps, 11 of 16 on 3rd down. That's just a great role. He's had a tough schedule. It's a shame. And next week, like Jamie said, will be no different. All right. Takeaway for the Chiefs here.
Man.
How about the run game?
The run game?
Yeah.
I mean, look, you knew it was going to be not the easiest thing for Kareem Hunt, because this Dallas run defense is now good. They're not a pushover anymore. So you kind of got lucky with Kareem Hunt with the long reception, the only reception, 22 yards, because 14 for 58 wasn't going to get it done. But look, this was a tough spot. 30-year-old running back coming on a short week after 30 carries, and then facing this defense. Like, especially when they got behind, like, it wasn't going to be the easiest game. You need Kareem Hunt to fall into the end zone. That's just kind of the running back that he is at this point.
Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, he played most of the snaps, and Pacheco, I think I said 30% of the snaps. I wonder what the split looks like next week against Houston. But again, it's Houston. I just wonder, how many starts? 2 Kelsey and okay. How many guys are you going to feel good starting next week against Houston?
I mean, you're starting Rashee Rice no
Yeah.
matter who they're playing, whether he's a number 1 or number 2 receiver for you. You're starting Travis Kelce unless you just have a great tight end on your bench. So we'll see what happens with Juwan Johnson, and I say great, a good tight end. Juwan Johnson or Dalton Schultz or maybe Rondé Gadsden. These type of guys that you picked up along the way, and you feel more comfortable with them. I get it, but you're probably still starting Kelce, and I'm gonna guess, depending on what not looking at the slate yet, but what happens and who else you have, Mahomes will probably still be in the top 15 quarterbacks.
All right. And that's it for that game. Cincinnati 32, Baltimore 14. Baltimore only had the ball for 21 minutes and 14 seconds. Cincinnati for 38 minutes and 46 seconds. We alluded to it earlier, but if you missed it, Isaiah Likely fumbled going into the end zone. That cost him and Lamar Jackson 6 points. Zay Flowers had an iffy offensive pass interference penalty that took away a long touchdown. I thought it was probably a good call. I think it really did help, but it was pretty iffy. And then Walker dropped a deep ball inside the 5-yard line. So it could have been a decent game for Lamar Jackson. But at the same time, he is not looking great. He's making some bad throws. He doesn't seem to be running as effectively right now. And another stat from ESPN, 3 straight games without a touchdown pass, longest streak of his career. First time he's gone 4 straight games with a completion rate under 60%. All right. How this game maybe deserves more than the 2-3 minutes here, because there was a lot of storylines coming out of it. What stands out to you in Cincinnati and Baltimore?
Well, I mean, for Cincinnati, clearly getting Joe Burrow back is great to see. Not that Joe Flacco was doing horrible things. The last 2 weeks for him were bad, but you know what the offense looked like when he first took over, and now that you have Joe Burrow back, is capable of the same thing. So I know I was a big Yoshivas guy. We got lucky that he scored a touchdown. It was his only catch. I thought Mike Gesicki would be a little bit more involved. He wasn't. But you alluded to this, Samaje Perine back. That was something we were concerned about. And I think you have to be a little bit concerned, so Chase Brown's ceiling is now a little bit lower. The fact that he was involved in the passing game still was good. So it's not going to be that stretch of just, I think, set it and forget it for Chase Brown. That said, he's kind of in a similar situation to Javonte Williams. He's the lead running back on a great offense. You're going to want to start him more times than not. And I'll go back to what I said about the Cowboys. I want to see the Bengals in the playoffs again.
Oh, yeah.
And if Buffalo wins, then they're 2 games out of the division, which is nuts.
If they win in Buffalo?
If Buffalo beats Pittsburgh this weekend, they are 2 games back of the Steelers and the Ravens, with still playing Baltimore one more time. So this is going to be fun. And, we saw them get hot last year at the end of the season. Different scenario this year. And let's give their defense credit. This is now 2 weeks in a row where they've played much better. They held New England in check last week. Clearly what they did against Baltimore, turning them over. I'm sure a lot of it is more about what Baltimore's doing than necessarily Cincinnati. But they are playing better. And now if they're playing with a lead, we saw them blow a few leads, but if they're playing with a lead with Burrow, it may be a little bit different story. So I'm certainly encouraged by, what Burrow looked like. There was a lot of questions. They could not score touchdowns early in the game. Yeah. I mean, the red zone officially, I think at one point they said he was 1 of 9 in
from
the red zone
pocket, I believe.
I mean, obviously it's a good defense. The Ravens are tough, but they just couldn't get anything open, and no T. Higgins on top of that. But you have a number 1 quarterback again in Joe Burrow. And, eventually T. Higgins will be back, and we'll see what everything looks like.
Yeah, and people were saying, Chase Brown had 7 catches. It's true. I think they ran 80 plays or something like that. So they ran a lot of plays. T. Higgins did not play. Maybe that contributed. But Perine was the 3rd down back. Perine also fumbled in the game. Then he came back in, but he did fumble. It was really good play defensively by Baltimore there. And amazing, just amazing that another tight end had a big game. Imagine if Isaiah Likely scores on that play, how bad this team is against tight ends. Zay Flowers had 7 targets. He usually does well when he gets 7 targets. This was a horrible game for him. 2 catches, 6 yards, long touchdown call back, plus a fumble. Frustrating stuff. And I think, hopefully Lamar Jackson gets kind of a mini bye here and gets healthy. But we'll see where he's ranked next week against Pittsburgh. Also, one good thing for Chase Brown is they do have Baltimore again. He just had a good game against Baltimore. It's pretty clear he's running well, and the offensive line is doing good things. But 3 of his next 4 games are Buffalo, Miami, and Arizona. So great schedule for Chase Brown. And folks, it is time for football at BetMGM. Register with BetMGM to get instant access to the best variety of parlay selection features. no sweat and boost tokens, live betting options, and much more. New players can receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets with the bonus code FANTASY if they don't win their first bet. You don't want to miss out on any of the hard-hitting action at BetMGM. Place your money line, parlay bets, and more today. BetMGM, make it legendary. All right, let's take a break. News and notes, one question for each game, 6 starts and sits previews. Could have said that better. We'll be right back.
You said sits, right?
I did. You would have said the other.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars. What a difference she has made.
The question is, can you handle it?
Can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount+.
All right, welcome back. News and notes. Jackson Dart's good to go. CJ Stroud is good to go. Aaron Rodgers practiced in full, but we still don't know if he will play. Baker Mayfield has a chance to play. He got in a limited practice. Jamie, what do you make of Daniel Jones and his fractured leg? And is this making you downgrade the pass catchers even more against Houston?
I mean, it sounds like he played through it last week, so we'll find out, just the extent of what he's going to look like this week. I do not want to start a lot of the Colts anyway at this point. And I'm curious, we really haven't had an update on Anthony Richardson and where he's at. So if Jones has to sit, what does his passing game look like? So really the guys you're worried about based on their start percentage are Tyler Warren and Michael Pittman, because Alec Pierce is a borderline starter at best, and Josh Downs has been dropped in a lot of leagues, understandably so. So hopefully Daniel Jones continues to get those guys the ball. Pittman came through in a tough matchup last week, with the touchdown. But yeah, I think you have to be a little bit concerned about what this could look like moving forward.
All right, running back Trey Benson and Amari DiMercado missed practice. So Benson practiced Wednesday, missed practice Thursday. Zonovan Knight was limited. We'll talk about that game later.
And just in the case of Benson, he has yet to get a full practice in.
Yeah. And Alvin Kamara missed practice again. Devin Neal was limited. We're expecting Neal to go. Saquon Barkley is good to go. Omarion Hampton, we still don't know if he's going to play. Bucky Irving practiced in full. Ken Walker still limited, should be fine. And Ashton Genty's good to go. Wide receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr. remained limited. Terry McLaurin practiced in full. We're going to preview those 2 games later. Devontae Smith is good to go. Drake London, doubtful. Chris Olave has back spasms. He's day-to-day. He missed practice. He left practice Wednesday, missed practice Thursday. Chris Olave hopefully gets back on the field today and hopefully plays at Miami. Jalen Waddle, good to go. Alec Eilmanor remains limited. Brian Thomas Jr. practiced in full. So we talked about this game on Wednesday night or Thursday's episode. Brian Thomas Jr. probably going to play, I think you'd have to say at this point, Jamie. So your thoughts there with the Jacksonville passing game at Tennessee?
I think you got to treat them all as number 3 receivers, so downgrade Jacoby Myers and Parker Washington and not necessarily want to trust in full Brian Thomas Jr. And Brenton Strange has to be dropped a little bit in the rankings as well. So great for Trevor Lawrence. I just wonder what version of Brian Thomas we're going to get. Hopefully this is a good finish for him and we see what we saw last year, but it's a crowded receiving core now with the addition of Myers. I know it was Travis Hunter, but still, this is what was a problem for him based on what we saw last year. That you brought this up in the preseason and it clearly was an issue. Everything he did last year, for the most part, was without Evan Ingram and Diami Brown, right?
And Kirk.
Oh, Chris Kirk, sorry. Yeah. I'm trying to think who's the second guy there. So it's I don't know how much you want to just, run back to Brian Thomas at this point.
Brian Thomas Jr. has 1 game all year with more than 12 PPR fantasy points. That is unbelievable. And I'm almost positive the Seahawks were missing 3 starters in their secondary that week. And I remember watching the tape. They were so bad defensively. That is his only game with more than 12 PPR fantasy points. Yowzers.
I know he's been hurt. So, how much you want to factor that in. But in terms of non-season ending injury, he's candidate for the biggest bust here.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And tight end news. Dalton Kincaid was limited, so that was good. Maybe he can play. Chigo Okonkwo missed practice. Does make Gunnar Helm maybe a little more interesting. Or, it even makes Shimmer Dike a little more interesting.
Yeah, Okonkwo's been missing practice the last several weeks, but then showing up on Friday.
Okay.
So, or limited and missing. I shouldn't say he's missed every practice, but something to keep an eye on there for sure.
And Darren Waller limited. Minnesota, both of their offensive linemen, Darisaw and Jackson, missed practice again. They're at Seattle. Good luck. Again, it looks like the Bills might be without both tackles. They're definitely going to be without their right tackle. Maybe Dawkins can get back. And that's about it. Defensively, the Bears game today, they're getting those 2 defensive backs back today, but the linebackers are a total mess. Ernest Jones, Seattle's middle linebacker, he practiced in full. Probably leave it there. Oh, there's a big one here. Max Melton for the Cardinals, starting cornerback. He's missed some time this year. He left last week. He missed practice. They're at Tampa Bay. All right, couple things here. Sunday, join us 11 a.m. Eastern till 1 p.m. Eastern, answering your starter sit questions. We get to a bunch of them. YouTube.com/fantasyfootball today. Go out and vote. Go to the 64.com and you will see the category. It's the best sports talk and radio podcast. We are on the top right bracket. This is really big, heated battle here with another great podcast. Let's take it home. Support fantasy football today. We'd really appreciate it. This is so easy, and you got to do it today. Voting ends today, maybe tomorrow. What's today? Today's the 28th. Yeah, I think it ends tomorrow. I think it ends today. So you got to vote today on Friday. If you don't, just check out the website anyway, the64.com. Maybe it's open tomorrow, but please, fantasy football today. All you got to do is give them your phone number. They send you a code to verify. It takes 10 seconds to vote. And the last thing is, if you're in the FFT Open, the playoffs start next week. All right. Top 4 teams make it. Number 1 seed gets a bye. Teams 2 through 4, they set a lineup. Highest score moves on to week 15. Wait, this is week 13, right?
Mm-hmm.
Moves on to week 15, plays the number 1 seed. Whoever wins the division in week 15, there are going to be 24 division winners. They compete in week 16, and then a number of them move on to week 17, and then we get a winner.
Do you think it's, and I know how I would answer this, but because we're starting the playoffs with teams still on a bye.
Yeah.
Would it be better? And you shouldn't change this, but would it have been better to play in week 18 as opposed to starting the playoffs in week 14?
I don't think so. Something to talk about for next year, because last year this wasn't really a big deal. There was the teams that were on a bye were garbage. This year it's different. It stinks, but that's why if you're the number 1 seed and you just win the regular season in your division, you get that bye in week 14 and you don't have to deal with that. If you're a 2 through 4 seed, well, look, you're thankful that you're even have a chance, but maybe we can figure out a solution. It does stink to have a bye in week 14, but I don't think playing in week 18 is a good idea. I think week 18 is garbage.
No, I'm with you. I would have done it the same way, but like we're getting more and more teams, not as many. You'd have more teams on a bye in week 14 than I think you're gonna have teams resting guys in week 18.
How many we have on a bye? 4?
Yeah, San Francisco, New England,
Giants,
and
what? There's gonna be 4. There's never gonna be 3.
Yeah.
I would challenge that. I think there will be more than 4 teams resting players. Probably a lot more than 4 teams resting players in week 18. Well, maybe not a lot, but more. Well, at least for part of the game, right? That's the frustrating one. It's like, oh, they're going to play half the game. All right, let's go to one question for each game. And we start with Arizona at Tampa Bay. Emeka Egbuka has struggled in 4 of his last 5 games. Can we trust Emeka Egbuka?
I think you just have to treat him as a number 2 receiver, because it's not just Emeka Egbuka struggles, it's the quarterback situation. So Baker Mayfield playing at less than 100% or Teddy Bridgewater. And you hope if it's Bridgewater, we get the Jacoby Brissett type of performance or the Jameis Winston type of performance of just hopefully having some success as a veteran guy and building up his receivers. I mean, it certainly happened in Arizona. So I think you just downgrade him to a number 2 guy. Like, I know for me, I was ranking him pretty consistently as a top 10 guy. And now he's right around like wide receiver 15, 16.
So that's with Bridgewater?
That's with, TBD at quarterback.
Well, it's got to change, right? If it's Bridgewater or Baker?
I don't think so, because you have a less than 100% Baker Mayfield, and you have a backup quarterback. So
it would change for me. I mean, it's hard to sit Egbuka, but gosh, I did not think Teddy Bridgewater looked very good last week. That's why I mentioned the Max Melton injury for Arizona. They've been pretty good against wide receivers, at times. More like not the must-start guys. All right, anyway, Denver at Washington. Start them all, sit them all?
I don't know if you can say Denver is a start them all, but there are more starts for Denver than there are for Washington, yes.
Not Ingram. I wouldn't say that. Here's one. Sutton or Ibuka?
I'm still Ibuka, but I can understand if you want to go Sutton.
Yeah, all right. Minnesota's at Seattle. Justin Jefferson or Ken Walker?
Ken Walker.
Jefferson or Sutton, Ibuka?
I think I have it Ibuka, Jefferson, Sutton.
Rams at
Listen,
Panthers.
we have a wild card with Brosmer. Is it Brosmer or Brosmer?
Brosmer.
We have a wild card here, so he may be the, Thomas in our chat on Wednesday or Thursday put in that he's Nick Mullins, like he's that type of quarterback. And if he's just more competent than JJ McCarthy, like Justin Jefferson may go off if he gets his 9 targets.
He's only thrown 8 pass attempts, and I watched them all. And if you have an A.dot under 7, air yards per pass attempt, under 7, you're getting low. If it's under 6, it's super low. On 8 pass attempts, Max Brosmer's A.dot, his air yards per pass attempt, is 0.1 yards. So that means, it was a lot of checkdowns, running backs, tight ends, guys out of the backfield. I never make too much of 8 pass attempts, but I thought that was amazing. Like, he just wasn't going through his progression, just getting the ball out quickly, like what you'd expect from a guy with no experience.
Well, and let's be fair here. He's going into a very difficult place to play without his offensive line.
Yeah, it's tough. All right, Rams are at the Panthers. Starter sit Tedero and McMillan.
Start, number 2 receiver.
Jefferson or McMillan?
Jefferson.
I got a tough question from my nephew. Devontae Smith or McMillan?
Devontae Smith.
Okay. I said McMillan, but I didn't feel great about it. Saints are at Miami. Why not start Devin Neal?
Because the Saints running back has not been great the majority of the season, and the Dolphins run defense has been better of late.
All right. Atlanta is at the Jets.
So I think he's a flex.
Starter sit Breece Hall.
Start.
Yeah, I feel like this week, running back's pretty interesting this week. Because you've got guys that you're kind of hoping, like Travion, RJ Harvey. They could have big weeks. They also haven't been great as rushers. But you got like a lot of RB2s that make us a little nervous because running back is what it is. But Breece Hall, I feel like, is someone gonna have a hard time sitting.
Yep.
Right? Okay. All right, let's go. Let's get to it. Arizona's at Tampa Bay. So how do you see this playing out offensively for Arizona?
All right, so we'll go through the quarterback's easy. I think you just treat Jacoby Brissett as a top 10 quarterback. He's been 20 points or more in every start for Kyler Murray, and now may get Marvin Harrison Jr. back. So that could only be a great situation for him. So regardless, Marvin, no Marvin, you're starting him. In the case of the backfield, if Benson plays, I think you treat him as a low-end number 2 running back, high-end flex. If Benson is out and it's Zonovan Knight, Michael Carter again, I think you treat Knight as a high-end flex. If Knight is out and DeMercado's out and Michael Carter's the guy, and this is the guy you should probably go pick up now at this point. If Michael Carter's the guy, then you treat him as a low-end number 2 running back. So there's plenty of potential here. This Tampa Bay run defense has been very up and down throughout the course of the season. I don't think Michael Carter's great, clearly, but anytime you're talking about 15-plus touches, it's hard to ignore that.
Yeah.
So just keep an eye on the injury report there for the backfield. In the case of the receivers, this is where it gets tricky because if Marvin Harrison comes back, he was clearly the alpha. Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch, because you can't leave him out. But both guys, their best games were sub 10 PPR points for the season, 9.1 and 9.9. 9.1 for Wilson was his best game in the first 10 games, whatever it was, 9 games. For Dortch, it was 9.9. Both with 1 touchdown each. Now, most of that obviously was with Kyler, but it's hard to say that they're safe. That being said, we've seen Jacoby Brissett 44 pass attempts or more in 4 of 6 starts. So he is throwing the ball a ton. And you would anticipate that against Tampa Bay, which has been bad against wide receivers. So I think if you're just looking at it, okay, there have been 2 guys in the 2 starts without Marvin Harrison that have been great. 15 targets for Dortch, obviously what Michael Wilson has done. I can't imagine that both guys just disappear and it's just Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride. So you said earlier you're probably going to still start Michael Wilson in 3 receiver leagues. I highly recommend that. But don't be surprised if he goes from 33 targets, I think it was in the 2 starts, 31 targets in the 2 starts, to maybe just a guy and not a must-start guy. So there's a lot at play here with what's happening with the Cardinals. And to me, again, I think it's probably the toughest decision and situation to monitor at this point, more so than even a lot of the injuries.
Okay, so I want to talk about the pass volume here, because this is something that I'm starting to learn, that it's not as predictable as we'd like. And I think about the 49ers and the Chargers. At one point this season, the 49ers and the Chargers were the most pass-heavy teams in the NFL. They were throwing 40 times a game, and it looked great for their receivers, for everybody from fantasy. But that stuff fades. So Jacoby Brissett, in his 6 starts, he is on pace for 5,357 yards, 31 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He's averaging 7.2 yards per attempt. Kyler Murray was averaging 6 yards per attempt. So it's been an amazing upgrade for them in that regard. But 7.2 yards per attempt is about average. His touchdown rate is 21st since he became the starter. But he's averaging 43.5 pass attempts. Why are they throwing so much? Well, they can't run the ball. They are 1-5, I believe, in those games. Yeah, they're 1-5. In the one game that they won, that Dallas game, he threw 31 passes. So to me, I think that the Bridgewater Baker thing matters to me. You maybe not to you as much, but I think Baker gives obviously the Bucs a much better chance to score points. And Arizona, if they're not giving up a ton of points, if they might actually win this game, if Bridgewater goes out and has a bad game, then you might not get 43 pass attempts. You might get 35 or something like that. And that's a big deal when we're starting to talk about, we need all these targets for these guys here. So that's just something that's been on my mind. Eventually, like, they're not going to keep throwing 43.5. Think of it like Joe Flacco. Like, Joe Flacco was throwing a ton, and then all of a sudden he just hasn't been. Game scripts go differently and whatnot. So anyway, that's just kind of where I'm coming out. I'm like a little nervous about it.
I know it was an overtime game, but they were winning the Jacksonville game, and he was still throwing the ball a ton.
Yeah, I know. I think the other part is that they have no run.
The 2 previous games they got blown out, but last week, to me, was they can't run the ball, and their best chance to win is Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, they can't run the ball. I mean, that's the big deal. So if Benson plays, maybe they can run the ball a little bit better here. But all right, you're going to need a lot of pass attempts. You've been getting it. It's not the best thing to bank on, but you've been getting it. So anyway, I think you laid it out.
I can't see a game where they're competitive and he's under 35 attempts at this point.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's going to be 45, because you've been just getting.
And listen, that's a huge deal. In analyzing the receivers, like, I'm going to go right back to Marvin Harrison as a number 2 receiver. I think in the case of, if this had been 4 straight games for him and we're seeing this, he'd be top 10 easy.
Right.
If he's getting certainly the target volume that Michael Wilson's getting, but you just treat him as a starter. The question becomes is, how much do you still trust Michael Wilson? And, that's going to come down probably to Wilson versus 100 other guys. And, we can answer them until we're blue in the face. We're just not going to know. All
right. So over to the Bucs side, if Baker Mayfield plays, where would you rank him?
Outside the top 12. Like, I can't trust him.
Okay.
He's been bad. He's not 100%. The Cardinals, however they're getting it done, they do not give up big points to opposing quarterbacks. The last 2 have, in the case of Brock Purdy and Trevor Lawrence. Purdy, I think, looking at it, you got lucky with the touchdowns, because 200 yards passing and 3 touchdowns, that's 200 yards passing is not what you look for from a great fantasy performance. You got the 3 touchdowns, and Trevor Lawrence was as lucky as you get, because 3 interceptions and still three touchdowns. So they've given up 6 touchdowns to the last 2 quarterbacks, but Baker just has not looked good. Now, granted, that's 3 tough opponents. It was 3 games on the road, much different scenario, but I don't want to say he's a guaranteed starter. Like, I would start just of the guys who haven't played yet. I'd start Dart over him. I would start Trevor Lawrence over him. It'd probably be close between him and Sam Darnold.
Okay. And you and Dave have some faith in Bucky Irving. Heath does not. I mean, you guys are like 20 spots. Heath's just saying, I think he's not going to play that much. I don't want to start Bucky Irving.
And the offensive coordinator comment about what the snap count, snap share, workload could be for him makes a lot of sense. Do they want to rush him back? They're in a weird spot because they are most likely going to win the division. And if you're the Bucs, which could play into Baker's decision, you want to make sure you're going to beat the Falcons still. You're going to beat the Panthers still. I believe they have 3 games against those 2 teams combined. And if they just win those games, they win the division.
Yeah, but the Panthers are right behind them.
No. Listen, they have to win. But they, I think, realize like this game versus health and making sure that they're ready to go when it really matters is probably on their minds. And I'm not saying that they're going to, make those, we're not playing him because of we don't want to win this game. That's not the answer. I'm probably babbling at this point. But I think in the case of Buck, you treat him as a low-end number 2, high-end flex. Like I know in the 2 leagues I have him, I'm starting him. But
would you start him over a Cardinals running back?
The only way I would not start him over Cardinals running back is if Trey Benson gets into full practice today or everybody's out and it's just Michael Carter. Okay.
I think Zonovan Knight's going to play. I mean, he's limited.
It sounds like
it. Yeah. All right. Okay. So I got some chat. Oh, sorry. Ibuka, you already talked about earlier. I think he's 15th-ish for you. And Cade Otton, starter sit.
He's a low-end starter still. I think based on the situation, whether it's Baker at limited Baker or a backup in Bridgewater, he'll still get probably 7 or 8 targets.
What about Chris Godwin, Tez Johnson?
Can't trust him.
Can't trust this. All right, got some questions here. If Marvin Harrison Jr. is healthy, can I start both him and Michael Wilson over Deebo Samuel?
I don't know if I'd want to go that route, but you could make a case that based on volume, they're both better than Deebo.
Ibuka or Evan Neal?
I'm still Ibuka there.
Evan Neal. Michael Wilson or Jacoby Myers? No. I said his name wrong.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ibuka. Michael Wilson or Jacoby Myers?
Yeah, this is where we are. So you have Brian Thomas Jr. back and maybe Marvin Harrison back. Like I'm going to lean toward the volume of what I think Michael Wilson will still get.
Yeah, and it's an easy call if Harrison's out. Let's see. Michael Wilson or Justin Jefferson? Half PPR.
So Harrison out. It's clearly Wilson for me. Harrison in, I would go with Jefferson.
Greg Dortch or Michael Pittman?
So again, if there is Marvin Harrison in, it would be Pittman. If there's Marvin Harrison out, I'd go Dortch.
Sean Tucker or Devin Neal?
I'd go Neal.
And that's it. All right. Break here. You're not going to start a DST, are you?
I would prefer not to. But
right.
the Cardinals
DST, yeah.
Cardinals, if it's Bridgewater, might not be awful.
They've been decent to great in 3 of their last 4 games. All right, we're going to take a break and come back with Denver and Washington after this on Fantasy Football Today.
Critics are buzzing about the new season of Yellow Jackets.
This is not healthy.
Yellow Jackets' new season now streaming on the Paramount Plus with Showtime plan.
Welcome back. Denver's at Washington. All right, I think I gave this stat yesterday. But stat of the game, Troy Franklin, 8 or more targets in 5 straight games. 8 wide receivers have had 8 or more targets against Washington. And then in 6 of those 8 have had big games, 16.8 or more PPR fantasy points. So my question for you in this is, Bo Nix, let's check the updated rankings. Bo Nix, 13th for you, 14th for Dave, 9th for Heath. You look at his season, when he has had this type of matchup, we consider Washington to be a great matchup. He has not had a good game. He's had an amazing game. 30 points against Cincinnati, 44 against the Giants, 32 against Dallas, and 6-point per pass and touchdown leagues. Why not more faith in Bo Nix?
Where have those games been?
I guess at home.
All 3 at home.
Okay. All right.
And so here's my concern is that he can easily have a good game here. This is not, by no means should you be sitting Bo Nix if he's your only quarterback. And I think that this was a pretty interesting week for quarterbacks. And so far, of at least 2 guys I have ranked out of him, 1 did great in Burrow and 1 stunk in Lamar Jackson. But I don't think anybody was starting Bo Nix over Lamar Jackson against the Bengals, no matter who Bo Nix was playing. I don't think this is a game where he's going to have these fourth quarter heroics, which is certainly was the case in the Giants game. I also think that this is a game where they can get their run game going. Washington is almost identical in the fantasy production that they give up to each position, quarterback and running back. It's like 28, fifth worst. So this should be a game you get RJ Harvey going and not have to throw the ball as much. Now, that being said, this is probably a 30 pass attempt game for Bo Nix, and he can still come through for his receivers. So I like his receivers. I think both Cortland Sutton and Troy Franklin are borderline number 2 receivers. Can't say with any confidence that you should start one and one over the other. If you're going to lean on one, it's probably Franklin. I think this is a get right game for Sutton, though. So I like both. But I think just in the case of like my favorite Broncos this week, RJ Harvey is number 1.
I wish I had something smart to say about Cortland Sutton, but I really don't, except I would say that he really has not had a very good target share all year, even when he was playing well. It's about 20%, and you just want more than that from a reliable receiver. I think you want that to be 22% or higher. That's just a number I'm throwing out there. Could be wrong, but I started him over Jameson Williams. Of course, I didn't know Amon-Ra St. Brown was going to be knocked out.
I had it ranked that way. Same.
You did? Okay. So I'm hopeful here, but do you have like Franklin better?
I have them essentially back to back, like 23, 24 range right there. Just kind of more on hope for Sutton at this point. Just coming off their bye, thinking that they're going to try and get him involved a little bit more. The secondary is bad, so both guys should have a chance to play well here. But again, I don't think this is a high volume pass attempt game for Bo Nix, so that's a little bit of a concern.
We're going to sit Evan Ingram, RJ Harvey. I do have some RJ Harvey questions. Why don't we go to those right now? RJ Harvey or Travion Henderson?
I have them in a similar range. I have Harvey like 1 or 2 spots ahead.
RJ Harvey or Rico Dowdle?
I think I have Harvey 1 spot ahead.
Harvey or Breece Hall?
Hall.
Bo Nix or Sam Darnold?
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix or Caleb Williams?
Bo Nix.
All right. Hopefully you hear this for those of you making that decision before that game starts.
I said Caleb Williams.
What'd you say?
If not, then I said Caleb Williams.
There you go. On the other side of the ball, look, Mariota hasn't been bad, but not against Denver. We're not starting him.
No.
Chris Rodriguez or Bucky Irving?
I'd go Bucky.
Chris Rodriguez or let's say Trey Benson's out and Zonovan Knight plays.
I'd go Zonovan Knight. I don't want to trust Rodriguez in this spot. Like their run defense is very good. They're getting Singleton back. It's a touchdown or bust guy. So they get down inside the 5. He's going to get his chances, and he scored in 2 of his last 3 games when they started to feature him a little more. So that certainly can happen. But you saw even in a good matchup what the downside is. He has 1 catch on the season, and it was against Miami, their last game. So 1 for 6. Like there's nothing to save him without a touchdown.
Yeah. All right. It's tough. A lot of people picked him up, and I don't blame you, but I just don't know when you're going to feel comfortable starting Chris Rodriguez. At least he's been running well. All right. So let's talk about the Washington passing game, the wide receivers and the tight ends, because we're expecting Terry McLaurin to play. He's been practicing at full. But we're also expecting Alex Singleton back for Denver, a great linebacker, and we're expecting Pat Surtain back for Denver. So McLaurin and Debo and Zach Ertz, what do you think?
I would sit them all. Heath made a good case for Debo and how they'll probably use him and, short throws, keep him away from Surtain. But this defense just does not give up production to wide receivers. It's not just because of Surtain. They're just very good. And I think Mariota is going to be in trouble based on the pass rush. And so now you have a target share problem because of McLaurin back on the field. So the last 2 games that Debo and McLaurin played together, Kansas City and I believe it was Las Vegas, he wasn't good. He was under 5 PPR points in both of those. So I don't want to trust this against this matchup.
Yeah. Man, we're just really just not excited to start the Commanders. I mean, why should you be? Zach Ertz, I don't even know if you have him ranked.
No.
Dave has him 17th. Heath, I think, has him 15th. That was as of yesterday. And all right.
I'll just give you an example. If you tell me Chico Conquo's out, I would much rather start Gunnar Helm.
Then Zach Ertz.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I get the whole like, oh, they're just going to give short passes to Deebo Samuel, but that has not been working for them other than against the Miami Dolphins. Denver's DST is a must start. I'm just getting frustrated here, Jamie. I'm trying to look something up. And anything else to say about this game?
Not really. I mean, Harvey's the one I think a lot of people have some questions on. We answered through those. Like, to me, it's a great matchup. He played 61% of the snaps last time we saw him, and that was against Kansas City. He struggled, but I think this is a game where he gets 15 plus touches. And you mentioned a few of those matchups. Harvey, one of his best games was that Bengals game.
Yeah. Sorry. I think you can tell I'm not listening. All right. Well, anyway, I'm trying to look up some cool metric about target per route run rate, but I can't do it successfully, so you will not get it on the show. I'm sorry. Let's go to our next game. Minnesota is at Seattle. Make the case to start any Viking in this game against this Seattle defense.
The only one really is Jefferson, and it's a lot of it is hope. Really, it's hope that a quarterback other than J.J. McCarthy will be competent, a target share that will still be there, chasing points. I can't trust Addison. He's been bad since McCarthy's return. T.J. Hawkinson's been bad with McCarthy the entire season. So taking on the Seahawks, like even in a great matchup, I can't trust Hawkinson. For Jefferson, it's just who he is. And, we're getting to the point where if this is another bad game, I don't have their schedule in front of me, but if we get these tough matchups, like you're sitting Justin Jefferson potentially, it's just been bad. It's been really tough to trust.
The one thing I could see for Aaron Jones is what I was talking about earlier with Brosmer and him just checking down all the time. And maybe that helps get him some catches, but Seattle's run defense is so good. Jones, like last week they were trailing and they couldn't go to the run game and he had only 9 carries. So you're just praying that Aaron Jones catches a bunch of passes and gets you some cheap PPR fantasy points. Aaron Jones or Zach Charbonnet?
Still Jones.
Aaron Jones or Kamani Vidal if Hampton's out?
Vidal.
Aaron Jones or Cortland Sutton?
Sutton.
And you said you have Sutton. You have Jefferson ahead of Sutton. Do you have Jefferson ahead of Franklin?
Yes.
All right. Let's see. Anybody in there? If you have any Justin Jefferson questions or anything from this game, fire away. On the other side of the ball, starter sits Sam Darnold.
Low end starter. I think we've seen him come through in positive matchups, and I think this is a borderline one. You have the revenge game narrative, so that's something that you keep an eye on there. Back in their building, I thought he played well last week against the Titans, but that wasn't, any situation to be concerned about, really with Tennessee's defense. They're going to throw a lot of different looks at him. Clearly, that's what Brian Flores does, and he's seen this defense plenty of times in practice, or the type of defense that they run. So I don't think he's a must start, but he is a borderline number 1 quarterback. So in the same range for me as Caleb Williams and Bo Nix and Trevor Lawrence, and he's behind those guys, but he's right there in terms of not a must start guy.
If you consider this a tough matchup, which I think I do, the last 3 quarterbacks to face Minnesota: Lamar Jackson, 16.6 fantasy points; Caleb Williams, 10.3; Jordan Love, 7.1. Only 21 pass attempts for Love. Sam Darnold has not done well in good tough matchups. Arizona, 18.1 fantasy points and 6.9 fantasy points the second time. He only threw 12 passes, but he had some turnovers. Bad game, terrible game against Houston. Terrible game at the Rams. He also hasn't done poorly in blowouts, but it only has one great game in blowouts, games where they've won by 10 or more points.
And that was Washington.
Yeah, 19.8 points, 20.7 points, 35.2 points at Washington.
He was 21 of 24 in that game.
Yeah, and 6.9 fantasy points against Arizona. So it just doesn't look like the kind of game. You've talked about this a lot. There's a kind of game where we expect good stuff from Darnold, and this one doesn't really look like it. But Ken Walker, on the other hand, Minnesota's run defense, kind of like Tampa Bay's. Sometimes they're really good. Sometimes they're not good at all. But Walker, with the season high 59.3% route participation rate last week, that's a big boost. Got to carry. So annoyed. Got to carry at the 2-yard line. Remember, I said I missed that. That ball was so close to the 3-yard line. It was like just inside the 3. But anyway, he did get another carry from the 3-yard line or closer. That's good stuff. So how are you feeling about him in general this week?
Number 2 running back, so better than Bucky Irving. I would say better than Kamani Vidal if there's no Hampton. Better than, I'm trying to think somebody else we just talked about. Better than Devin Neal. Better than
Harvey Henderson.
I would start Harvey and Henderson over him. But the thing that's encouraging is Mike McDonald came into week 12 and said going to give him more work and played a season high in snaps. And so just keep that going. Give him the 3 catches. 3 catches in back-to-back games is very encouraging for him. So again, I think you just got to understand that there's a limited ceiling because of Charbonnet and the touchdowns that he loses there, but there's still plenty of potential for him to be a good running back.
Okay. And start JSN and that's it. We're not going to start Barn or anyone. Seattle's DST is top 2. Charbonnet, I think you know what you're getting at this point. Look, there's obviously a chance that they just are dominating possession, running a lot of plays. Charbonnet could score. But yeah, that's what he is. All right. If anyone's interested, I want to share something real quick here. Just some advanced metrics. Is that should I zoom in, Jamie?
Probably.
All right, let me zoom in. So we're looking at wide receivers. There are 89 wide receivers with 30 or more targets this year. Now we're looking at target per route run rate leaders. JSN, 36.6%. Why we look at target per route run rate and not target share? Well, if you miss a game, then your target share goes down. So this is just when they're on the field, how often are they being targeted when they run routes? If I scroll down, there are 89 receivers. If I scroll down to about, where are we? 54, we get Cortland Sutton. This is what I was talking about. Can you see the pointer, Jamie?
Yes.
Okay. He's at 19%. That's pretty bad. The only wide receiver that I see that has a lower target per route run rate than Cortland Sutton and is someone that we start in fantasy is T. Higgins, which is also surprising, by the way, 17.8% for Higgins. Other than that, I mean, we're not really, JMO. Well, that's gone way up though for JMO. It's gone up. We don't see a lot of guys that were like, we're excited to start him. So that's the issue with Sutton. There are a lot of issues, but he's just not being targeted that much. You see Marvin Harrison Jr. here. His is also pretty low. So anyway, that's it's a metric to consider. Next game, Rams are at the Panthers. I'm going to call this an irrelevant stat of the game, but I wish J.C. Horn were playing, but this team is beat up in the secondary. He might play, but he's in the concussion protocol. But they're 8th best against quarterbacks, and Matthew Stafford, believe it or not, has yet to score 18 or more than 18 fantasy points in tough matchups, like top 10 against quarterbacks. But we're going to assume that the Panthers are that he's.
Who has he faced that's top 10? That's
Houston at Philadelphia. I put at Baltimore because I think they're a tough matchup now. Like they were a tough matchup then. They were healthy, and Puka left in that game. And Seattle. So Houston at Philadelphia, at Baltimore, Seattle. He did not score 18 points in any of those games.
That's a road game.
Yeah, but I'm not really worried because you guys aren't either. He's number 1. Number 1 in the rankings. Yeah. The Rams are easy at this point, except for Kyron. Kyron has more than 14 carries in one of his last 8 games.
You're still starting him.
You're starting him, yeah, but like doubt who's the best running back in this game?
I would still start Kyron over Dowdle.
Okay, how about
the Rams run defense is just too good.
It is, and the Panthers run defense is not. All right, look, Kyron he probably has to score. When he doesn't score, he struggles. When he started having these games with 14 or fewer carries, yeah, there have been 2 games where he didn't score. 8.5 fantasy points at Jacksonville, 5.8 against Tampa Bay. Ugh. All right, so RJ Harvey or Kyron Williams?
I think I have Kyron 1 or 2 spots ahead.
Let's talk about the Panthers here. I said earlier I have a lot to say about this game, but let me get your thoughts, and that's surprising considering what game it is. But what are your thoughts on Tetairoa McMillan? Let's start with him.
I'm going to guess that based on how this game could go, we see a high volume of pass attempts from Bryce Young, which is where we've seen Tedrow and McMillan still be good. This is a brutal matchup against a very good Rams defense. That's going to make things uncomfortable for for Bryce Young. So McMillan's going to get a lot of attention, understandably so. The rest of this receiving core is not exactly anything that you fear. So I'm just hopeful. The Falcons game is the one you point to and you say, okay, we saw great Bryce Young. And for the season, the Falcons' pass defense has been good. Lately, they have not been great. So I don't think that compares to the Rams. That being said, if he can throw the ball a lot, that's going to lead to a lot of target opportunities, and you hope that he comes through. So I'm just treating him as a number 2 receiver.
Yeah, you said they're going to throw the ball a lot, right? So if you listen to Beyond the Box, or you said if they throw the ball a lot, you listen to Beyond the Box score from 2 weeks ago after McMillan had his huge game. I'm sitting there going, listen, chill, because this team does not throw the ball much. That's been holding back Tedrow McMillan. But I was like, look at their schedule, though. They got San Francisco. They got the Rams. They got these good offenses. I think they're going to have to start throwing more. So I was encouraged in that regard. Last week, what do? They throw 29 times in a 20-9 loss. But what happened in that game? They ran 43 plays, the Panthers. They had the ball for 22 minutes and 18 seconds. They actually had their second highest pass rate of the season. So I do think that unless you get these weird games where they just don't have the ball, 22 minutes of possession, it's ridiculous. 43 plays, it should be more like 60, 55 at least, I think you are going to start seeing them throw more. And that is what encourages me for Tedrow McMillan, because he is really good. Rams are getting Ahkello Witherspoon back. That's not good for him, but he's good. And if he gets his targets, seems like he needs 10, but his target share is so high that he might get 10. And it's hard to sit that, I guess. McMillan or Jefferson?
Right now it's Jefferson.
How do you look at the Cardinals guys and McMillan?
Wilson or Harrison will be ranked ahead of him. Not both.
And okay, how you feeling about Rico Dowdle?
Number 2 running back. I think this is my concern with the Panthers as well, is that last week, I think Dave Canales did not do a good enough job running the football. And that plays into the time of possession. I think that played into them not scoring a touchdown when they're on the 1 yard line, 1st and goal from the 1. I didn't like that play call at all. And I think we get a little market correction for him after, I think Rico averaged 6 yards per carry against the 49ers. So how do you slow down the Rams? You're trying to run the ball.
Okay, I'm looking for some chat questions here. It was nice that Dowdle got the passing game work too. He had 4 catches. Last week he had 5, or 2 weeks ago he had 5 catches. So that's encouraging. Chuba Hubbard was the 3rd down back. He mixed in. Okay, do I have one? Kyron, Dowdle, or Genty sit 1?
I currently have Dowdle ranked the lowest.
Scott says Adam has a Kyron complex.
You do.
I do, but I think I'm on to something here. But here's the truth: I have him in 2 leagues. I have not sat him once. I started him. I mean, it's hard to say I started him over Javonte Williams because I had one of them as a running back and the other one as a flex. But I would have started him over Javonte Williams. I love the game script here. I think they're going to win easily. I think they're going to run the ball effectively, and I think he's going to score. But I think if you don't have a little bit of a Kyron complex, I think you're kind of ignoring his usage because it's just not good enough. And he's essentially splitting, series with a little bit of favoritism there. And he's lucky he's been scoring, but I think he's going to score again. Here's a stupid comment. I'm glad I didn't listen to you guys talking about playing Lamar because he's playing the Bengals. Ha ha, CBS sucks. Bro, it was Thanksgiving yesterday, and I hope you had a wonderful one. Did you watch the game? Have you listened to anything we've said? Lamar Jackson should have had a pretty good game, even while playing poorly, because the Bengals are that bad. Give me a break, bro.
Is that Heath's burner?
Tedrow McMillan. Oh, because that's a cheap thing.
Yeah.
Tedrow McMillan or Romo Dunze, half PPR.
McMillan.
I'd love to get some more McMillan questions in here. McMillan or Kyron?
Kyron.
Let's see. McMillan. I'll just do some. McMillan or Pittman?
McMillan.
McMillan or Tyrone Tracy, PPR?
Tracy. Oh, I'm sorry. PPR, I go McMillan.
Denver wide receivers or McMillan?
McMillan.
Dowdle or McMillan, half PPR.
Dowdle.
If Omari and Hampton starts, would you start Dowdle or Hampton?
I would start Dowdle.
All right, start the Rams DST. Oh, I forgot to mention Colby Parkinson. Any interest in him?
Not yet, but I think if you certainly are stuck at the position, which I don't know how many people are this year because it's been so good, but touchdown in 3 straight games would not surprise me if he scores again, but it's just not a lot of targets right now.
Okay, I've got New Orleans at Miami. Stat of the game. This is weird. The Dolphins have the 7th highest run rate since week 7. That's their last 5 games. Well, they're 3-2 in those games. They've been involved in 3 blowouts. They won 1 and lost 1. But Tua Tagovailoa has 26 or fewer pass attempts in 4 of his last 5 games. Weird. Devon Achane, 20 or more carries in 2 straight games for the first time in his career. We could see more of that from the Dolphins in this game. Who do you think? Who are the must starts in this game? New Orleans at Miami.
I think there are 4. There is Devon Achane, Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave, and Juwan Johnson.
Where is Juwan Johnson for you? He's ahead of Kate Otten now. Kyle
I believe
Pitts.
I have him 6th.
6th. Wow. All right. So start Juwan Johnson. I feel like I'm going to forget to ask. How do you feel about Taysom Hill?
He's a wild card for 2 reasons. One, you could play him at tight end, and he's going to potentially act like a running back. If we get both Kamara and Devin Neal out, then I will have a lot of interest in Taysom Hill because then he's probably going to get maybe 20 carries, which will be shot 15 carries. I mean, he had 10 last week.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of appeal there, but I still think like he's 2 touchdown dependent. And when we've loved Taysom Hill, it's when he's quarterback.
Right. All right. So Tua, starter sit.
I do not want to start Tua, but he's right behind Darnold in that range of, low end starters in deeper leagues. I do want to roster Tua for 2 reasons. One, I think there's a chance for him to play well. 2, he gets the Jets next week when we have Drake May and Brock Purdy and
Dart
on a bye. So he's a good beat the waiver wire guy if you want to pick him up now, because if he does play well, then everybody's going to be chasing him. But yeah, I think this is one of his better games. It should be, at least for what the matchup is, playing at home. I thought he was going to play well against Washington also, but like you said, Devon Achane is just unbelievable.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
I was thinking as I was watching Jahmyr Gibbs yesterday, who's the best running back in the NFL? If I could start my team with one running back, who would it be? Achane. I don't think I can say Achane, but he's up there. What would your answer be?
For a game or a season?
A season, a franchise.
Oh, franchise? I mean, you got to go young, so it takes McCaffrey out of it. But I think in the case of like you got 3 candidates for sure. You got Gibbs, you got Achane, you got Bijan, right? Those would be the 3.
Yeah, unless you were somehow thinking Genty or something or Hampton, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're
those 3.
They're there. Jonathan Taylor still as well.
Yeah.
I think if we were redrafting now, rest of season, Achane's probably the number 1 overall pick.
Wow. Yeah, maybe. Gibbs is hard to pass up. I wish Bijan Robinson were on the Lions. I feel like we know how good he is, but we don't know how good he is, if that makes sense. So,
yeah.
If Olave, I'll get to Devin Neal in a second here. Olave's top 12. If he doesn't play, what would that do? What would you do with rankings in your brain?
I think deeper leagues, you look at Mason Tipton and Devon Vele as the next 2 guys for the Saints. We're talking the deepest of leagues. Juwan Johnson, I don't think you can get much higher than where he is right now. So I would really love the Dolphins DST.
Yeah, true, right.
I like them already, so.
Yeah, they've also been pretty good. Like the Cardinals, the Dolphins DST has been solid lately against Buffalo, against Washington, at Atlanta. They were good too. They were horrible against Baltimore. And this almost every DST's done well against the Saints. So you could definitely consider Miami. All right, Devin Neal and Darren Waller, I guess we could talk about as well. But where's Devin Neal for you?
Just outside the top 24, in the top 30. you're encouraged by the passing game work. And if I remember the stat correctly, Tyler Shuck in his last 2 starts, 15 targets to his running backs. Now, 7 of those went to Devin Neal last week, so he's throwing to the position. And again, you're looking at this receiving core that with Olave is bad. Without Olave, it would be even worse. So I think you just have to realize like there's going to be one other person, if not 2 other people, taking touches in this backfield because they're probably going to elevate Audric Estime. And so we get Estime and Taysom Hill taking some carries away from him, and they haven't exactly shown the want to give Neal carries. If you recall, when Kendre Miller was healthy, he was getting carries, not a lot of work in the passing game. Neal was kind of taking passing downs work away from Kamara. So how much they'll trust him on running downs will be the interesting part of this. But I think in full PPR and half PPR, Devin Neal has the chance to get you 11 to 12 points. In non-PPR, touchdowns were so bad for this backfield the entire season. So I wouldn't necessarily want to start him there.
If Darren Waller plays, where will you rank him?
Waller will be a low-end number 1 guy. The volume was obviously a problem for him when he was healthy, but the touchdowns were great. And so that was with Tyreek Hill on the field. So now you have no Tyreek Hill, and nobody else has really stepped up to help Jalen Waddle consistently. We had the 2 touchdowns in the 3 games for Malik Washington, but not a lot of volume for him. So I think Waller is a good streamer. You should definitely be picking him up and put him on IR just in case he doesn't play this week. You have him, for rest of season. But to say he's a must-start guy with what the position looks like I'd rather start Schultz. I'd rather start Still Strange. I'd rather start.
How about Zach Ertz, who's probably going to get you like 8 fantasy points?
I don't have Ertz ranked, so
all right.
I would go Waller.
Waller. Okay. How about? Let's see. By the way, next week the Panthers are also on a bye. Probably just mention that. Waller or Titans tight end.
I would go Waller as much as I would like Gunnar Helm without Okonkwo. I'd still go Waller.
Parkinson or Waller?
I don't have Parkinson ranked, I don't think.
Okay.
If I do, he's in the teens. Waller would be borderline top 12.
All right. So
it would be like Waller or Kate Otten, that type of guy.
Theo Johnson.
I would go Waller.
Okay.
They feel very similar to me.
See if I have any good ones here. Dolphins or Niners defense?
Oh, I like both. I'd probably go Niners.
Juwan Johnson or Alec Pierce?
I would go Juwan Johnson.
Juwan Johnson or Gadsden?
Juwan Johnson.
Juwan Johnson or Strange?
Juwan Johnson.
Devin Neal, Khalil Shakir, Tyrone Tracy, PPR.
Shakir.
Let's say it was just the running backs, Devin Neal or Tracy.
Tracy.
Dolphins or Niners?
You just asked that. I would go. Yeah.
Okay. Neal, Pollard, or Tracy?
I will say this, though, in regards to the Dolphins, if you want to get ahead of your waiver wire, you play the Dolphins this week against the Saints, and then they get the Jets next week.
Throw in Pollard in this mix. Neal, Pollard, or Tracy?
It would be Tracy, Neal, skip a lot, Pollard.
All right. Last game here. By the way, we do have a mailbag later, just so you know. One of the people participating in the mailbag texted me last night. I won't say who. I'll tell you if it was Jamie or Dan. But one of them texted me and said, no mailbag tomorrow, right? I said, yes, mailbag tomorrow. And he said, I thought you said no mailbag. I never said that. There's definitely a mailbag.
Yeah, you know who that was.
Of course. But I won't say it was Dan. Atlanta's at the Jets. Start Bijan. All right, we'll go back to last game. Who would you rather start, Malik Washington or Darnell Mooney?
Darnell Mooney.
Okay. Mooney had 3 targets last week. Just want to point that out. All right. So Mooney.
And it was his best game of the season.
Yeah. 74 yards and a touchdown on 3 targets at the Saints. Jets. The Jets actually have held up fairly well without Sauce Gardner, but the first game they may give up a big game to Judy. After that, who was it after that? I don't remember. Whatever.
Patriots.
Oh, yeah. Diggs had 105 yards. Last week, Lamar Jackson struggled a little bit. But how do you feel about Kyle Pitts?
I can't trust him. 1 touchdown on the season. The last 3 weeks have been bad. Last week was a setup we loved for him, was Cousins without Drake London, and he did not do much. So it's just a shame that he's not performing well.
I know. It sucks. I'll make excuses just for fun. 3 games ago at Indianapolis in Germany, he was open in the end zone. Penix left it underthrown. 2 games ago, he had only a 10.3 target share. Just a bad game. Last week, though, 25% target share for Kyle Pitts, but Kirk Cousins only had 23 pass attempts. There's also a play that could have been a chunk play, but he dropped it or was knocked out of his hands. I couldn't tell. So if you are stuck and have to start him, he has had a high target share in most games. And hopefully they throw more than 23 times. But yeah, it's like even his good production wasn't that good. I
was excited last week because he had 9 catches. He had 9 catches for 46 yards. When I say 9 catches, in the setup against Miami was the same as last week without Drake London and Cousins starting. And he had 9 targets, 9 catches for 46 yards.
Boiler Jam, yes, definitely drop Pitts for Strange. And we'll see if I have any more questions for this game. But Mooney or the second Cardinals receiver?
The second Cardinals receiver.
Mooney or Mechie?
That's a tough one. I would probably go Mechie.
All right, Drake London doubtful, so Mooney with the big role, with the big chance here, but also no Garrett Wilson. So Mechie and Mitchell. Mitchell has had more targets than Mechie, oddly enough, in the last 2 games. He's just done nothing with it. Yeah, Mechie has scored 18.5 fantasy points and 13.5 fantasy points at Baltimore and at New England with a touchdown in each game. And Atlanta's 18th against receivers. They've been struggling a little bit lately. 7 wide receivers have 83 yards or a touchdown against Atlanta in their last 5 games, I believe. I could be wrong about that, but they've been struggling. Sorry, I should have had that. We like Breece Hall quite a bit, so start Breece Hall. I don't really think there's much else here. I mean, we could do a little more. Like, would you start at this point with Daniel Jones having a broken leg? Would you start Mechie or Mooney over Michael Pittman?
No.
Okay.
And this could be an Algier game too.
All right. Just looking for some chat questions here for this very boring game.
You got one Mooney, Charbonnet, or Pollard.
Mooney, Charbonnet, or Pollard. Ooh, in full PPR, I'm going to go with Mooney.
I would too. Then you also have one, Mr. Viper says Mechie, Mitchell, or Melancholy.
Mechie or Mitchell? Melancholy. Yeah. Oh, I get it. It's not even a question. It's the state of the Jets receivers. How about Darnell Mooney, Quentin Johnston? Okay, we're definitely going to go Marvin Harrison Jr. if active, but Mooney or Quentin Johnston's an interesting one.
I would go with Quentin Johnston in the upside.
Tyler Algier or Breece Hall? Okay, we're going Breece Hall here. All right, I think that's it. If you have any more questions, you like a DST in this game, by the way?
I do not. The Falcons. They were good last week.
Okay. I'll answer this one just for fun. Kyron Williams or A.J. Brown?
I thought you were going to answer it.
I'll have you answer it.
I would go with Kyron.
It's probably the right way to go. All right, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Pretty cool that you're spending this holiday with us, you know.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
All right, last one. Here's a Cousins one. Mariota, Cousins, Sanders. Shadur Sanders. Pick 2 in Superflex.
Yeah, I'm sitting Sanders.
Okay. Take care, everybody. We will talk to you on the mailbag. Even Dan. Noon Eastern. And have a great weekend. See ya.